Hey guys, Patty from Patty's Crafty Spot, and I'm here to share with you my What's Cooking mini album recipe book, and it's all done. So I used the What's Cooking paper line from Country Craft Creations. This is an exclusive collection created by Country Craft Creations, and you can only get it there. And let's show you the book. So we are all done. This book is huge. Just so you know, it overall measures 9 by 9 with a 3-inch spine. It features a gatefold cover wrap that actually turns into an easel. So let's go ahead and start opening, and I can show you how it all works. So this will hold just in the pocket pages alone with the top half. So there's 6 pockets on those. Just that alone will hold almost 70 recipe cards. So you can easily fit, I don't know, 150, 200 recipes in this book, and it still has some room. So I have it pretty packed, and you can see that it's not alligator mouth, so there's plenty of room to keep adding to it. Unless, I guess, if you use thicker recipe cards. I used index cards because I could not find recipe cards anywhere without having to order them online. So I did use some seam binding for my closures, so that's got it, and then also the book. Right on the front cover, there is a piece of clear acetate that's going to hold your recipe card. So I just made this little guy here to go ahead and add on, just so you can see it. So it just sits right there, and then it's clear, obviously, so you can see your recipe. And the book opens up. So let's show you all the fun stuff first, and then I will go through and show you the album. So when I went ahead and created the front portion that was my easel back to hold the book up, I was running into a problem with the front of the book sagging down. Like the front cover was it was going crooked, and that's because it's so heavy. So I had to come up with something to go ahead and keep the book straight, because I didn't want to put something out there that wasn't right. So I made a built-in attached platform to go ahead and put it on. So the way that works is you bring this down. You can fold the book up. So now to go ahead and make the stand portion, you can tie it. Although I did try it without tying it, and it does hold either way, so you don't have to tie it if you don't want to. And then these just fold up right against the back of the book, and that's what you're going to want. And then you can just lift it up. Now the back of the book here has got 2 stoppers, and that's what's going to keep the book from sliding back. So basically, this is what you've got. And then the book, whoops, it's hard to hold it. So the book will sit down on the stand. So basically, I know it's hard to tell, and I'll have photos, but what you're getting is your book is sitting on the stand. So now the top part here doesn't sag down, and this just folds right up into your book, and everything is contained. And let's see if I can grab it. So this is the front where eat, drink, and be merry. And that's how it would look. Let's see. So there we go. And then it has the little platform right here, so your book can stay like that. If you want, you can open it up and pull things out, although I would suggest that you lay the book down, then pull your stuff out. So like that. And then let's go ahead, untie this, and we'll take a little walk through the book. And so I don't get it caught. So on the inside back cover right here, you can see is all the stacked pockets, and then 2 larger pockets at the bottom to go ahead. So just the pages that have this here, just these 6 will give you over almost 70. I forget exactly. It's just shy of 70 by a couple, but it'll give you plenty of room to go ahead and put in lots of recipes. And then this just folds down. So it's folded the direction, so it'll fold up for the base part. And then when it goes down, it's solid, so it's going to stay flat. All right, so let's go ahead and walk through the book. All right, so again, like I said, little clear acetate on the front to hold your recipe. Although I should have showed you when it was standing. But let's take a walk through the book itself now. So again, the inside front cover is just like the back cover. So let's go ahead and pull all these out so you can see. There is stoppers on the top two pockets. That way your cards don't fall all the way down and they stop. So I show you a neat trick using undo and creating that right there so you can see the pretty picture. And we're going to move over to the other side. So right here is a nice pocket. I cut out one of the little cutouts on the sheet. I created a cute little angle on here, nothing more than just a decorative element. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. I just thought it was kind of fun to kind of give a little unique look. And then there is a pocket page over here. Whoops. So I didn't create much for photo mats just because it's a recipe book and I wanted to get this up and done. So I don't make much for photo mats, but over here you have some pages. So these ones here go like this. And this can work either to go ahead and put some photo mats and stuff in these, or if you have takeout menus, they're nice and vertical. You can just fold up takeout menus and put them in. So that's what that looks like. And then you open up this way. So this is part of the photo album portion, or mini album portion rather. So you can put photos of family, if you're doing recipes from family members and stuff, you can go ahead and add their photos. If you want to just use it for more recipes, you certainly can. You can also go ahead and add a pocket to the bottom here if you needed more pocket space, although I would watch how much pocket space you add, because the more buildup, your book is going to start to get an alligator mouth. Then we, over here, open up. Now I wanted to give you lots of room for doing recipe cards and stuff. So let's just take a few out. So I have this page here, but then I went ahead and added two more. So every page design, so there's 3 pages in this book, or 3 signatures, whatever way you call them. So let me just take out the bigger cards so you can see better. So each signature has this setup. So you'll have the front portion here with the pocket, and then that part you have the mini album portion for photos, and then parts for recipes. And then we go ahead and again, like I said, we just repeat. So this is the next page here. The paper is just gorgeous. And then you have your pocket, and then these fun pages. You will need 2 packs of paper to build this album. I ran out of paper, so I had to get more. That's why it took me a little bit longer to get this finished. As you saw in the sneak peek I posted, it wasn't completely done. I didn't have enough paper to do these pages here, and I wanted to get it finished up. So I'm just removing these so you can get a better look at the paper. And then this fun retro print. So these are 7.5 by, actually I didn't cut it. I cut it down to the 7.5 to fit, but they're by 5. So bigger recipe cards can fit in the larger pockets. And then over here again. And love this. This page is so fun. Apparently fun enough I used it twice, and I didn't realize it till I was done. And let's open this one. This page here, this design, I think has to be my favorite. I don't know why. The colors, they're kind of like bluish greenish colors. Probably more a little bit of a green color, but I absolutely love this page. That's why I chose it for my cover too. And then we showed you that because I doubled that. So then we open up to the back page. And then this one. So on some of these pages here with these, I used both sheets. So this is one side of the paper, and then if you flip the paper over, you have the back side would be this. And I did that on some of the pages. I would flip them. And then you go back to the back page here, where we have all of this, again, using that paper right there. And then it all folds down. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this recipe book. It is a unique design. I don't think I've seen it anywhere out there. So I will have a free tutorial so you can go ahead and make one yourself. And until next time, guys, happy crafting. And if the tutorial follows this, have fun with that. All right, bye. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This is going to be page style 1, and this is the cut list of what you're going to need. So go ahead and take a screenshot, stop the camera so you can write it down or cut your pieces. But let me just quickly run over what it is that you're going to need. So you're going to need one piece at 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, which is pretty much the standard page size that I've been making in my mini albums. I try to make them all the same size. That way these pages are interactive. So if you see one design from one album, you can go ahead and use it in a different album. So you also need one piece at 8 3/4 by 8 1/4 and score on 8 3/4 at a 1/2 inch. Two pieces at 8 1/2 by 8 1/4, scoring on the 4 1/2 at 1/2 inch. One piece 7 by 9, and you're going to score on the 9 inch at a 1/2 inch and 3/4. You're going to need 3 that are 5 by 5, scoring on all 4 sides at a 1/2 inch. You're going to need 1 at 7 3/4 by 3 1/2. This is a pocket, so you're going to score on the 7 3/4 at a 1/2 inch and at 7 1/4, and on the 3 1/2 inch at a 1/4. Another pocket, 9 by 3 1/2, scoring on the 9 at 1/2 inch and 8 1/2, and on the 3 1/2 inch side at a 1/2 inch. Then you have a couple photo flaps. You're going to cut at 4 1/4 by 6 3/4, scoring on the 6 3/4 at a 1/2 inch, and 2 at 4 3/4 by 6 1/4, scoring on the 4 3/4 at a 1/2 inch. I did label these with A, B, C, D. That way I can call out that number or that letter so you know what I'm working on. So we're going to start off with A and B. And this is the base part of our pages. Let me turn off my light, see if that helps. So you have your 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 and 8 3/4 by 8 1/4. And you're going to need your scoreboard. Now this is only going to, see if I can go with a little bit of light. So you need to just find the middle part of the 8 1/4 piece. So that obviously is going to be 4 1/8. So we're going to make a line, but we're not going to really score into it. It's just a guide. So you just want a very faint line. And you can see my line there, but it's not enough. You can see it on the back, but that's not really going to matter because we're going to cover it with pattern paper. We just need that piece as a guide. So now we can go ahead and take our B piece and trim off the corners. And I'm going to go ahead and fold that. You're going to want this on the right hand side. And this is going to go right on top. So you want to make sure that we are all squared up. And I'm going to stick it down. Now we're going to need our C piece, which is 2 that are 4 1/2 by 8 1/4, and that's where this line is going to come in handy. So we're going to fold these, burnish them down. And let's go ahead and trim the little corners a little bit. And I'm just taking off a little sliver just in case there's any overhang that you didn't cut it exactly 8 1/4. it just keeps the little pieces from sticking up. So you have these two pieces now. So this is the one we're going to use with our faint little score line. So what you're going to do is take the first piece. The tape is going to be going to the center of this, and that's why you need the line so you have a guide as to where you are. And I am clearly cut completely wrong, so let me trim that. All right, we're all trimmed up. Let's try it again. So the tape is going to go in the center up to that score line, and that's a guide just so you know where you're at your halfway point. And go ahead. And when you are in the center, you will have a thin little piece, like you can see. Oops, let's do it this way. You can see how thin of a piece we have going here. So make sure you're all squared up and you can stick it down. And then this piece is going to do the same thing. You're going to just butt it up against this one. Just like that. And as you can see, maybe, you can see it's a little thin there. So I'll show you in 1 second. So butting it right up against that other page. And let me give it a good burnish. So you can see how far away we are. So it's just a 1/16 or maybe an 1/8 of an inch, I'd say. And we have that. And so now this is what we have, and the page opens like this. So now we are moving on to piece D, which is the 7x9 with the double score lines. So it already has its tape. And I'm just going to fold back on my lines. Now you have the two here because of all the buildup of this middle section. This is a flap that's going to go over the top. So the double lines are creating a gusset. So when you have the pockets and stuff filled up, you've got some room. This isn't like being weird on the page. It's going to give you some room so you can stuff those other pockets. And now for this piece here, I went ahead and decided to do a fun little element. You don't have to do it. It's literally just for design. It has nothing to do with any function of anything of the page. If you want to keep the full page, don't do this. So what I'm going to do is mark over 3 inches from this edge here. And these squares are 1 inch. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm also going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3, make a mark. And then all I'm going to do is just chop off that corner. And again, it's just for a design element. It has no function. Just like that. So now let's go back and take this page. So again, we have this. What I'm going to do is flatten this out so you can see my other score line and the tape is just there. I'm going to flip over one of these pockets because I want to attach it to this side, but I want to make sure it's flat. So I'm going to attach it. And it's kind of centered. You can off center it. You could put it all the way to the bottom, whatever you want to do. And flip this page back over. And as you can see now, that's why we have that extra fold line in. So it gives you room because we're going to add a bunch of pockets in here. All right, so now what we're going to do is move on. I have 3 pieces that are 5 by 5. These are going to become corner pockets. I have these 1/2 inch scored all the way around with tape. I'm going to go ahead and put these in my paper cutter right now, and I'm going to cut from here to here, going ahead and cutting them at an angle to create corner pockets. All right, I already cut those. So this is what we had. This was our 5x5 piece, and I cut it at an angle, and we're going to go ahead and trim up. So these pieces just cutting back, and then this one here at the intersection, we're just going to go ahead and cut that off. And then we can go ahead and fold back. And these are going to be corner pockets on the flaps that we just attached. So you can use those to go ahead and add photo mats. You can add more recipe cards. You can also go ahead and add menus because it is a cookbook and sometimes you don't always want to cook. So you can add some menus from your favorite local restaurants. Or sometimes the magazines, they have recipes too that people like to cook. So you can even, a page from a magazine, you can stick in there. And my last one. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and add these. So open up this flap and we're going to put them on the corners. And if you have any overhang coming to the corner like this one's going to, so you can see if I put it on, it's kind of coming right up to the corner and you don't want anything to bind it up. So if it is, just snip off the corner and test it out again. And that looks good. So I'm going to stick this one down. And then this side. And again, just snip in my corner. If you don't want to add all these corner pockets, you don't have to. You could leave them blank. So now we can open this one this way, and we're going to put corner pockets here and here. Don't need to snip the corner, but I'm going to. And let's just go ahead and snip this one so we're ready to go. Now this page design is going to give you the option for photos. If you want to make it also a mini album of a relative or something that's created a recipe, you can go ahead and do that. So now we're opening all the way up to go on the inside. And then the other page design is going to be geared towards just recipe cards. And that will hold quite a few. And then this last one. And if you feel like you're going to have this a little more bulkier, I would just add, say, another 1/4 inch. So add another 1/4 inch to the overall size of the flap, and then just score, instead of at 3/4, you would score at 1 inch if you wanted a bigger gusset, if you think you're going to stuff it too much. So then this folds back, and then this over. And with the pockets, you can see the thickness that we're going to start to get there. So that's why we want that fun little gusset. All right, now we're moving on to piece F, which is another pocket. So that is my shorter pocket. So this is 7 3/4 by 3 1/2, taped all the way around, snipping off the corners on the top, and then making a pocket. So we want to cut those off. And let's go ahead and fold back. So this pocket is going to go inside our flap. So we're going to open our flap up. This pocket is going to sit right here, center to the space, but you're pretty much like end to end. It's about 1/8 of an inch, maybe even 1/16 of an inch from side to side. So we're going to do that. Stick it down. And I'll show you. So you can see where we fold right here. It's almost on it, but not quite. So we can open this up, and we're going to go ahead and put on our next pocket. So that's going to be piece G. This is the longer pocket. Again, let's trim off our pieces to make a pocket. And fold and burnish. This pocket is going to sit on the top. So you can open this one up because you want it to lay flat, get a better grip. So this is going to go right here. Again, centering it to the space. So you're going to have about 1/8 of an inch on each side. And I'm coming all the way to the bottom. Okay, and then we fold back up like this. So there's that pocket, this one, and our corners. So now we're going to add our photo flaps, and that is going to go on the inside. So we'll open this whole thing up, and we have this nice little area here. This is where we would go ahead and add some photos and stuff to our cookbook mini album. So I have photo mats. I have created 2 landscape and 2 portrait. If you know the photos you're already putting in here and you need all landscape or all portrait, you can go ahead and definitely cut those. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick these randomly on. Oops. Wherever I want to, going all the way to the edge here. And then just be careful of your gusset so you don't bind anything up. And put this one on. And let's start this guy over here. We'll put it at the top instead. All right, and then it folds this way. So that is page style 1. All right, we will work on page style 2 next. You will need 3 of these for this album, so go ahead and create 3. We're going to get started on page style 2 now. So this is the cut guide. So for this one, let me just show you real quick what we're making because it'll be easier to explain it. So right now, this is going to hold all of our recipe cards. So it's going to have the 3 flaps. So we have that. So this cut guide is for each flap. So you'd have to cut it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. The back part, we're not putting anything on. That's the part that's going to go ahead and get attached to page style 1. So let me show you. So what you're going to need is one piece 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 and one piece 9 by 8 1/4, scoring on the 9" at 1/2 inch and 3/4 because we want to create a gusset to allow for expansion. You're going to need 2 pieces at 9 by 2 1/2, and we're making a stacked pocket. So you're going to need to score on the 9" at 1/2 inch and 8 1/2, and on the 2 1/2 at 1/2 inch. We're going to make a series of stacked pockets, so you're going to need to cut 6 at 5 by 1 1/2, scoring on the 5" at 1/2 inch and 4 1/2, and on the 1 1/2 inch at 1/2 inch. And then we're going to create 2 stoppers. So you're going to need to cut 2 at 2 1/4 by 4 1/2, and you're going to score on the 4 1/2 at 1/2 inch, and 2 at 4 1/4 by 2 1/4, scoring on the 4 1/4 at 1/2 inch. So that's what you're going to need for those. So let's start off first with our A piece that is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and the one that is 9 by 8 1/4. Did I say 4 1/4? It should be 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. I think I said 4. And just like the other piece, we're going to make a score line just for a center point. So it's 8 1/4, so 4 1/8 is going to be our center point. We are going to lightly score just to create a line in the center. You can kind of see it on the back side. And then the same thing to this piece. Now you're going to do it with the score tape and the gussets on this side, because in between this area is the 8 1/4. So do it again. Can you hear those birds? It's so nice out today. I actually pulled the plastic up and opened the window, and I just checked, and it's going to be 60 degrees all week, which is amazing. So hopefully that will end our winter season. So for this, go ahead and we're going to fold. On those. So we're creating, just like on the first page style, we're creating a little gusset. So let's trim back. Just like that. And make sure, like when you did it, this one I probably pressed a little too hard, but all our pockets will stiffen it up, so it's not going to actually create a fold. So this one here, we're going to go ahead and attach. So this one we're attaching to the left side. Oops, why am I? Oh, that's why. Because our gusset. All right, so we'll put this one on top. And we're going to make sure that we are squared up. And it looked good, so I can take this off. Go. So this way we have room for expansion. All right, now we're going to take our 2 pockets. So these are the 2, these are C-piece pockets that are 9 by 2 1/2, and this is what we have. They're stacked pockets, so we're going to go ahead and cut those off and a little bit in the corner. Okay. We are going to need a ruler in a minute, so let me just fold these. This is our bottom pocket because of the tape on it. This one here, we're only folding the sides, not the bottom. All right, and we need our ruler and a pencil. So these are 8 inches across. So we need to find our center, which will be obviously 4 inches. and do the same thing on this one. So now let's take our page. We're going to put this one on here. So where we went ahead and created that score line right there, and then you see my little tick mark, we want to make sure that that is centered to the score line, and that way we will know that we are centered. And I'm actually just going to open this up so that gusset doesn't get me all jammed up. So you're going to go close to the bottom, not all the way. I am leaving probably about a 1/16 of an inch. Whoops. Looks good to me. Make sure I look good and I'm lined up, and I'll show you. What am I hung up on? Oh, show you 1 second. And as you can see now, my pencil mark is lined up to my score line. I'm just going to leave this open, I think. And I'm going to do the same thing with the next one. This is going to sit right in here, and my pencil should line up to my score line. And then just make sure you erase those afterwards. And that's lined up. Alright, now we have our little stack pockets, so we're going to start off with 2. So we have 2 of these, and we're going to trim them. So our bigger pockets are 8 inches across, and these little ones are 4. So that's where our score line comes in handy again. So we're just going to fold the sides. And let me just show you. So we put this in here because these are half the size. We are going to go ahead and put it in so we come up to that score line, and that's going to guide us to our center point. So let me go ahead. Make sure these are burnished good. Let me give it a good test. Look good. So when I do it, I kind of hold this one down because it does have a space right now. So I just kind of hold it down with my palm so I can make sure like this score line here is hiding under the pocket. And you can see right there where we lined up. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing to the other side, which will be easier now because we already have a guide as to where we're going to put that one. Let me show you. And you can see right there. And if I press it down, you can't see it. When you add pattern paper in here, if you're not quite right on the score line, you're going to hide it when you cover it with pattern paper. All right, now we're going to take 2 more, and this is where our stoppers come into place now. So we have 2 different size stoppers. We have 4.5 and 4 1/4. So we're going to go with our longer ones first. So you're going to apply tape to, this is with the score line. Just tape, and then it folds over. So when it folds over, you see the tape on both sides. 2 more pockets. So again, we're using the 4.5 inch stoppers first, the longer ones. And a trick is going to be here, undo is going to be your friend on this part. And you will see why in a minute. I'll explain that to you. All right, so let's fold my sides. So I designed this for our recipe cards to be 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. If you need them bigger, you can always use a bigger piece of paper and fold it in half. All right, so this is what we have in our stoppers. So we'll take our first pocket, we're going to flip it over, and we're going to go ahead and tape it down. So where our score line is on the bottom of this pocket, show you. So you can see where I put it. And then this is the back side. Now what that is for is when you go ahead and put your recipe cards inside, you don't want them to fall all the way down through. So when you go ahead and slide your recipe card in your pocket, so you can't see obviously because this can be inside, but this is what it's going to do. It's going to stop your recipe card from falling down further into your pocket, and it will be a little difficult to get. If you're not worried about it, you don't have to do it. This was just something that I did to keep the recipe cards from falling through. And basically it's going to go in just like this and like that. Okay, so this is where undo will be your friend. I tried doing it without and it kept sticking on me. I don't have the patience to wait or to keep trying, so I figured when it kept sticking on me, I was using undo and I'm like, oh wait a minute, the light bulb went on. So this is what I have. So we're going to remove our flaps. And most crafters, I think, that make mini albums probably have undo. So it's not like a lot of you will have to run out to get it. And if you think you can slide it in without it getting stuck, go for it. But the little trick is to go ahead and put undo on this tape and then slide it in the pocket and stick it down. And then when the undo evaporates, it will be stuck down there. So it's a little hint. Do it again. Just like that. Take the tape off first off of everything because the undo will evaporate before you have a chance to stick it in your pocket. And if you go to stick it in your pocket and it's sticking, it's just because you don't have enough undo on it. So, see, I can feel it sticking, so I'm going to add more. And then work fast. Just like that. And so what you just did was, now it's stuck. So you're not going to lose your recipe card now. So now we're going to do it again on the next two. So this is using the shorter stoppers. So this is the 4 1/4. So those are going to go on the top. And let's get these folded over. Like this. And then fold back on our score lines. And attach. And then this one, same thing. When you flip them over, just make sure you have no tape sticking here and here, because if you do, it's going to get stuck in your book. So let's get all the tape off. Undo. Let's stick it in. That one, and then one more, and then that page is done. And you just have to repeat it 2 more times for this page, but then you also have to create 3 of them. And there we go. And there you go, you have it. And then you have your little gusset when you add the other 2 pages. So go ahead and create on the inside the same thing. And then what you're going to end up with is this part right here. So, and again, remember, don't do it on the back side. All right, so that's page style 2. We're going to go ahead and get started on the cover, and I have already went ahead and covered my first piece, and I added tape. So your chipboard pieces are going to be 9 by 9. Let me write that on there so you can see it. So 2 of them, 2 at 9 by 9, and then you need 1 at 3 by 9. And that's what you're going to need for those pieces. So I am covering this the same way that Tamara's been doing her books, and I absolutely love doing it that way. I think it makes a nice, cleaner cover. So, and then I'm using these tools that I also bought from Country Craft Creations. They're awesome spacer bars, and they make everything so much easier. So I have full tape coverage on my covers. And I'm really excited to get this done because there's a new, there's a unique design I came up with this, and it's going to have a portion of the book cover is also going to be an easel. So you can go ahead and use your cookbook as a stand as well. So I can't wait to show you this. All right, so now I'm going to trim off. So I'm trimming it down an inch, so it'll be an inch all the way around. All right, and let me add some tape. So I'm going to put tape all the way around it. All right, so I have full tape coverage, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut my corners. And then we can fold this over. Okay. Rid of those. There we go. And the other side. So when you fold these over, do the sides first and then the top and the bottom. That'll just make cleaner folds on your paper than if you went like around and did it. And smush this part down. Alright, and then make sure you give those a good smush down. That way you don't feel the bulk so much. And that one. Alrighty, and make sure it's all squared up. Alright, so now we have these two covered. Now we got to work on our spine. So let me get some paper. Alright, so I got another piece of paper, and we're going to start off. I'm going to score 3 inches. And I'm going to take one of my spacers to go at the top. And now my spine piece. Oops. And that is going to go to the top, and on the score line I just made it 3 inches. And now we can trim this up, so I'm going to cut off 3 inches off the side. And 1 inch off the bottom. Okay. And I'm going to add some tape. So let's let's go ahead and fold this over. Because I want to go ahead and get some lines started so we have a guide. And it's easier to do it before you put the tape on. And this side now. So now you see you got your fold lines right there. And let's go ahead and fold this way as well. Okay, and then we'll do the bottom. All right. Now we can add some tape. So we're going to add tape to the center section here and to the top. And you can go past your score lines. We're going to cut. And let's put this one on. And this one. All right. We're going to go ahead and let's see, do we want to, we're going to go ahead and cut first. So we want to cut even with the chipboard, but not past the chipboard here. So we only want to cut up to this little corner. So and if you want, you can look over here. Might be easier because you can see your fold lines. And you can stick this part down. And because we went over with our tape, we now have a little something to stick in the side right there to kind of wrap that. And we'll do this one. Okay. Right there, so you can see I'm to the outer side of the fold line, so it gives me a little bit to wrap that. And stick that down. And the same thing on this side. Alright, so now what we want to do is we're going to flip it over, and we're going to go ahead and push the cardstock up into the chipboard. And we can actually do it this way too. So what we're trying to do is get the paper to fold around into the edges of that chipboard. So I don't know how well you can see it, but basically what you're trying to do is get it on the sides, so when you put this on, they'll be even. So you want to try to get it folded up under there. So what we can do right now is we can trim off part of this. So let's go ahead and trim it just like we're angling corners. Like when you make a pocket. Just like that. Okay, and now let's try it again. So now what we're going to do is, so these are going to sit on like this. And it's going to give us a nice clean look. So let's go ahead and add some tape. And trim that off. And we do this side. And whoops. And then over here. And then we're going to add tape to our covers. Okay. Now let me just show you. If you take this piece here and you put it down, you line it up kind of where you need it to go. You don't want your tape to go down further. So I'm going to stop my tape about part way, I think. You know what, maybe I'll just put it on the whole cover. We're going to go a little further, and then we don't have to worry about it. And get a little piece. It's a neat. You want to make sure you have full tape coverage because you don't want anything to lift. So when you put it on, make sure you don't go all the way. You leave some space because you don't want your tape showing when you put your cover on. All right. Whoops. And let's do the other side. Okay. Trim that up, and we're going to stick it down now. Okay. I just trimmed a little more off. I could see my tape showing, and I didn't want it to show afterwards. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way, and we're going to go ahead and stick our covers on now. So we're going to go ahead and stick them right up to the binding, just like that. And making sure we're lined up and snug. And do the other side. And it looks good. And looks good right there. And there you go, look at that. The covers fit amazing. You don't have to work anything in. They lay flat. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and make the binding. We're going to make our binding, and these are the measurements that you're going to need. 8 1/4 by 10 3/4. And our gussets in between are going to be 5/8. So you're going to score at the 10 1/4 inch side at 1 1/2, 2 1/2, 3 1/2, 4 1/8, 5 1/8, 6 1/8, 6 3/4, 7 3/4, and 8 3/4. So I've already gone ahead and scored that. And now we just need to fold it. So when I like to fold my binding, I always do it with the hills up that you can feel your score lines, because I find I get a much better fold for the first part of it. And I can make sure I'm lined up and squared off with the top and the bottom. That way I get a nice binding. That way everything is even. And my pages should sit even as well. I'm just turning it over because it's easier. I didn't flip it over, I just spun it. Give those a nice good burnish. Again, making sure I am even top to bottom. And then once I fold it all this way, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over and then fold backwards. And then that you can also make sure you're even. If you have to make any adjustments, you can still do that. All right, that's done. Now I'm going to go ahead and add score tape to my hinges. Oops, cut that even. All right, and I'm going to do it through the first one. And then there is my gusset. So now I'm going to go to the next one. It is a three-page bindings hinge system. And I'm going to fill in my gaps because I want it completely covered. And one more. Okay. Now this is what I have. And I'm going to fold this onto here, and so forth. So we'll get them all stuck down. Just like that. And open it up. And that is our binding. And I'm going to just grab my book, make sure we are good. And we are good. All right. So now the next step is what I like to do is now when you have your binding system, you see your hinges just like that. What I like to do is go ahead and make a mark, a 1/2 inch. So you make a mark there. And then I do both sides. And that way I know where to stick my pages. And I'm going to do it top and bottom, front and back, and I'll show you. And I do it now while I can still move the binding system. If you put the tape on it, it becomes harder. So here's my binding, and my tick marks are right there and there, and then on the bottom as well. And that's just for lining up the pages when you go ahead and put them on. And my grid here has the markings for 1/2 inch, so, and I'm not using a ruler. And I did that side, this side's not done. So that's marked. You really only need to do it to one side, but because I don't know how my pages are going to go on, I do it to both. And then when you add your other page, you just add it to where your pages, so you line up the pages to the pages, not to these. All right, so now I have tick marks on everything. You can see all of them. I'm going to add my score tape now. And as you will see in one second, I will show you. The score tape is only 3/8, but my marks are 1/2 inch. So I have, you can see right there. Oops. Right there, you can see it. You can see the little bit of a space there, and that's fine. Because you don't want your tape to show if your pages don't go exactly to the 1/2 inch. You want a little space there, so there will be no tape showing. And one more hinge. And I'll show you again in one second before I add tape to the back. All right, So right now, this is what we have. And we can just go ahead, and I want to snip the corners just a tad. A tad. And that's just in case it sticks out if our pages are shorter than our binding. And again, it's easier to do it now than to do it once you put tape on the back. All right, so that's done. So this is what we have. We're going to add tape to the back now, because now we're going to stick it in our book. Oops. Okay. And trim that up. And I'm going to add more. Oops. And trim that one. And then make sure it is burnished up against the binding. And I have a little bit there, so I'm going to go ahead and just get some more tape on there. And I'm going to trim it. Okay. And now we can go ahead and stick this in our book. All right, so, whoops. So our pages are 8 1/4. So I think it's 3/8, and I'm 9, 1, 2, 3, 1/4, 3/8. So we're 3/8 up. So that's where our binding's got to go. In the center, so I'm going to make 3 inches, so 5 1/2, 1.5 inches from the center. And let's just do it up here so we're even. So I found the center on my spine, and then I should be measured right. Yep. So we are 3/8 top and bottom, so we have spacing. So what I like to do first is go ahead, give it a test run so I can see where I need to line up. So my middle hinge here is lining up to right there and there, so I know I'm centered, and then lining up to my little tick marks. So it looks good to me. I can go ahead and set it down now. And make sure any tape, don't want it showing. And I'm going to hold it tight enough so I can make sure things lined up. So there. Okay, and stick it down. And I'm just going to go ahead and get some space here. And get everything all nice and burnished. And lift this up. And let's get it folding. Get that paper worked in. And there we go. So now we can go ahead and start adding our pages. Oh, first let me just erase my marks. If I don't erase them now, I'll forget. So that one. Okay. All right. All right, let's get our pages. So we have 3 of those, 3 of those. Oops. All right, so let's start off with, let's get these out first. I cannot wait to start decorating this book. All right, so this page here is going to go on the back because I want it to open like this. So let's move these out of the way. Show these are flat. So this page here is going to get attached right on here, and you're going to follow the little tick marks that we made when we made our binding system. And do it as a test run, and then just see if you need to make any adjustments before you stick it down. Making sure you are equal spacing here and equal spacing here, and that you don't look crooked. And I'm going to go ahead, take the tape off and stick it down. And oops, once I think I'm good, and then test it this way, make sure, because if it's not even, you can just use undo, but to me that looks like we're pretty square, so making those tick marks does help. So now what we're going to do is add some tape to this. We're going to stick down our page on top. And over here. Just be careful when you do start pushing down because of your gussets. You don't want to get anything too smushed. So now this page here is going to go on, nope, wrong page. This page. So this is the part we're going to open it up. And why am I doing this again? I hate how my light changes. All right, so we're going to stick this on top, and we're going to make sure that we're lined up with the page underneath. So go ahead and give it a test. And to me that looks good. I'm making sure I am lined up top and bottom. Make sure you can just feel. So for this one here, And I think I look good, so I'm going to fold it and remove the tape on this piece. And now I can test it out before so once I put those together, that is going to line up perfect. So move the tape. And you can see now from adding that gusset that that makes a very nice clean fold there. I just need to burnish it down a little more. And there we go. So now we're going to move on to the next one. Now as these do go along, they are going to get harder to put on. So I'll do the middle one and then I do this one from the backwards. So I'll do the front page and then the back page because I can lay it down here. But I do want to get it as flat as possible. So I'm going to open all these up. So I have a nice flat surface to work with. And this camera is going to drive me insane. Well, hopefully you can see it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm attaching this page. So I'm going to fold these down. Again, give it a test. And actually, I didn't get a tick mark on that one. So let's add it. Okay. So I'm lining up, making sure I look good. And I'm using the tick marks as a guide. And that looks good, so I'm going to stick it down. And make sure, oops, that looks good. Make sure I line up to this page. I look good there too. So I'm going to add my tape. If I put something here, maybe I need something with color. How about, nope. So annoying. All right, so I'm going to put tape on. I wonder if, let's see, how about this? It's helping a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and get this stuck down and then I won't worry about it. Oops, I'm not even. I actually need to turn the book over, but it's going to mess with my camera even more. Maybe. All right. Okay. Let me cut it. I'm afraid I'm going to tear my page. Okay, and then This one. Okay. Make sure it's all stuck down. And I need my top page. I'm going to open it up and give it a test. Again, I'm letting my fingers feel where it needs to go. I think that's going to be good. I know, it probably looks like a mess right now. Ah, I just slipped. All right, and I'm going to stick this side down. And take this up. And put that on there. And I'll show you where we're at in 1 second. Because I have a mess going right now. All right. Making sure we're lined up and we look good. And this looks good. A little bit of tape sticking out. All right. And now I just got one more page to put on. So this one, like I said, I'm going to work backwards. So, do I want to work backwards? No. No, I got to work the same way. So this one first. So we're going to line it up. And I look even. Let's see if I can do it this way. There we go. All right, now I need to add tape to that. And we're going to be all done adding our pages. And I gotta turn this around. So get it on good. And then up here. I hope you followed how I put those pages on. With all the flips and the flaps, it does get a little confusing. All right, last page. I'm gonna open it up. Trying to get it so you can see it. So again, same thing. I am going to line it up. And feeling it. And it looks like it's good there. I'm going to hold it. And just make sure before I stick it down. And yep, everything looks even. So I stick this part down now. it up. And there we go. Where am I crooked here? There. And now that is all together. So now we need to work on what I'm going to put on here and over here. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and work on our inside front and back covers. So what I did was I went ahead and created more of these pages, but I just did it on a single piece, just so we have more room for more recipe cards. So we're going to put it on the front and on the back. So I went ahead and added score tape all around. And now I'm just going to center it to the cover. And it is the same height as my pages, so I can just center it up to my binding system. And stick it down. Okay, and then the rest of it. That. And then the back cover. All right, so we need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 3 by 6 and 2 pieces that are 4.5 by 6. So we're going to put those aside right now. And we're going to work on these 2 pieces first. So to get started, we are going to go ahead and make some cuts. So on this piece here, we are coming down 4 inches. And same thing with this piece. 4 inches. And what we are doing, let me just draw with a pencil. So this was our 4-inch mark right there. And we are going to, we are cutting that piece off right there. Oops. So let me go ahead and do that. So this is what we have right here. We cut those off. We do not need these pieces. So now we're going to work on, we have these pieces and these pieces. So we're going to go ahead and attach them. So let me get some cardstock. Hold on. All right, so I went ahead, I got my cardstock, my spacers. I went ahead and added tape to both sides, and you're going to want to line it up this to this. So let's do them one at a time because you need to add some spacing. So this one first is going to go right there. Make sure we're tight. We have that one, and now I want to leave a 1/4 inch spacing. So I have my another spacer, and this is going to go just like that. And so we're all uptight. So we have this. And we are going to go ahead and trim this. So again, we're going to trim it 1 inch around. We might have to trim this a little more. I'm not sure yet. All right, now let's add some tape. Now, in my prototype, when I designed this, I didn't do it as a wrap yet, so I'm just trying to figure this out now. So, see how we do. And do this one. All right, and right here. All right, let's see. Let's trim off some of this. And let's do this one. And we'll do here. All right, let's do the top. And let's get over here. I know this is different than when we wrap the cover, when I do like side, and then top, bottom. This one, I'm trying to figure it out. Oops. And this one, feel like, let's do that. So in this one here, I'm cut at an angle because I want to wrap it up there. And smush this down. And this piece, I'm going to go ahead and cut at an angle. So I cut at an angle right up to that little corner. So that is going to go like this afterwards. So let's get this piece down and do the same thing. So I'll go this way. Just like that. We have that. And then this one, we're going to go like this. And I feel like that's just going to come off, so we'll get rid of that. Let's take a marker, because I feel like that's going to show. So let's color that in. And let's get this one first. Don't worry, we're going to put something on the top of that. And then let's get these little pieces off here. So as you can see right here, this little piece here is actually the width of that part right there. So we're just going to fold it up. I'm going to smoosh it down inside first. So you can see it looks like it has wings because we're smushing this part down first. And then we can get those. All right. You can see I'm just peeking at my prototype. Oops. It's got to be on the back. And that one. It's got to be on this side. All right, so I need to make some hinges. So now I'm going to just go ahead and cover this and clean all that up. So let me get some paper. All right, so we need to go ahead and cover this, but I need to make a template so I know what I'm cutting out. So I'm going to line that all the way up there and trace. So that's what I have right there. And we can go ahead and trim it up. Oops. So the easiest way to do that would be, I'm going to make it, actually I'm going to make it the exact size. And then we'll try it out. Okay, now let's see. So I do need to trim it down, so let's take off a little bit. And then we'll test it out, and if we have to, we'll take off a little more. These are nice straight lines, so this part here shouldn't be too bad to figure out. And still need more. All right, and I'm gonna try it again. And we're almost there. I want to go a little more. And then you're going to save this one because then we're going to trim off even more afterwards when we move on to pattern paper. But this is just to get the piece to cover that. And I think that looks good to me. So now I'm going to cut this piece in the black. Okay, and trim this one. Now I'm going towards the inside of my pencil line because I don't want to see my pencil line when I put it down. one more. And let's see how we look. And that looks good just like that. So we're going to load this up with tape. Okay. Make sure I put it on the right side. And I'll just trim all that off afterwards. All right, and okay. Let's clean up some of my mess. I'm going to keep, where's my template? Template's over there, so I can get rid of all this crap. All right, and then this should fit. Try it again. Perfect. So let's go ahead and stick this down. All right, and make sure we're good. That looks good. And now we're just going to burnish inside these parts. And you want to make sure you do these both sides because this is going to get some play. Alrighty, so this one is going to be on that side. Save my template. Just looking real quick. So this is going to get attached here. So we're going to make a hinge for that. So I want a nice, good hinge. So let me cut a piece out. All right, so I cut a piece of cardstock that is 4 by 6 because I want it to be the same height as this. We can go ahead and burnish it at 2 inches and give that a fold. Like that, and we are going to add tape. So you see, and I want to show you my sample until I show you how cool it's going to look. So we're going to add tape to this. You'll see what it's going to look like in the beginning of the video and the walkthrough. So I guess it doesn't really matter. And let's get some more tape on here. All right, so that, and I think I'm going to trim a little. I just don't want it to overhang, so I'm going to trim it like that. So I'm keeping the so once you go past the score line, keeping it at the 6-inch mark here and here, and then angling. So, and then we're going to stick this on just like that. Oops. This is going to be covered with pattern paper. That's why you're going to save your template. And I feel like I need to put something here because you don't want that to rip. So I think, you know how when we wrap the book covers, we wrap them and then we stick something down? I'm going to do the same thing again here. So let me cut another piece. All right, so this piece here is just 6 by 1.5, and I just want to add it into here. So let's start off by adding some tape. And hopefully you just go rewatch this because this is probably going to be a little confusing on how to build. So you might have to watch this a few times. Because I feel like I'm not quite explaining it right. But hopefully the video will show you better. And as you go to do this yourself, you'll figure out what I'm doing. So this is going to go here, and I want it to wrap around that part. So let's get this stuck down. So I'm just sticking it to the top right now. And we're going to burnish it into, let's see. There's probably an easier way to do this. But this is just going to get a lot of wear, and just a simple piece of cardstock is not going to work very well. So you want to make sure that this is worked back and forth, because this is going to have a lot of movement. All right, and this is actually going to get attached here. And you want to leave spacing, so you can see where I have all of that spacing right there. So we are going to attach it like this. So you want to kind of leave about 1/4 inch. Let me see my spacer. So basically you're doing this 1/4 inch. So this is the chipboard from both sides, and then in between is just the cardstock. So I'm actually going to make a little pencil line so I know where to put my tape. Just think we get to do it all over again. All right, and I'm going to line up, test it out again. So I think we look good. And stick it down. All right, yay, we got one side done. So this is going to go like this. This is what we're going to have, and it goes around the back. So let me show you what we are creating, which you already will see. So this is my prototype, and how it works is, that's for that right there. I don't know if I'm going to do that. But anyway, this is what it's going to look like. So this goes like this. So this is what we're working with. So we're basically creating a gatefold wrap. And if we take it off and untie it, so now what we do is, here's our book. We bring it around to the back, tie it again. Like this. And because of our little angle cuts now, our book will now become an easel. And then you can have your recipe cards on the front. That's what we're doing. So we have part of it. So now we need to create the one for the other side. So we're partway there. All right, so I realized I forgot to put my tie on before I stuck this on. So we're going to take it back off. Because I need to put my tie underneath. So all right. And then we can put this back on. Oops. All right. Get this off. And we'll just redo this again. All right, so let's take my book. Where's my cover? So I want to put my tie in the middle. So that would be right here. Okay, and then put some this down. seam binding on top. Okay, and now we can flip that open. Let's go ahead and add some tape back onto this guy and start over. And I still got my pencil mark. This is why I use tape instead of glue when I'm kind of designing. That way I can pull things apart. If I glue it, it's never coming off. All right, try it again. Okay. Alrighty, here we go. I just need something to tie these two together. And on the other one, we don't have to worry about it because I believe it goes to the spine. Yep, so that's going to get attached to the spine back here. All right, so let's go ahead and work on the other one.